They didn't do any tests. She was gasping for air in her sleep, gargling. More than likely it was blood. They did a CT scan and she had blood clots all in her head.
Doctors declared Adriana brain dead. 30-year-old Adriana Smith was about 9 weeks pregnant because of Georgia's heartbeat bill, which bans abortions after a fetal heartbeat is detected. Her family says they weren't given any say in what happens next.
And I see my daughter breathing by the ventilator, but she's not there. And I'm touching her. And she has a son who I bring to see her.
Now, 21 weeks pregnant, her baby's health uncertain.
She's pregnant with my grandson, but my grandson may be blind, may not be able to walk, wheelchair bound. We don't know if he'll live once she has him. It should have been left up to the family.
Adriana has been on a ventilator for the past 90 days. It's likely doctors will not induce Adriana for at least another month. And it's not just the baby's health the family is worried about, also a medical bill. They say that continues to grow every day.
I'm not saying that we would have chose to terminate her pregnancy. What I'm saying is we should have had a choice. We should have had a choice.
Black women in the United States are 3 to 4 times more likely to die from pregnancy-related complications than their white counterparts. I'm Rosemarie Havsom. I'm back again to let you know that you can take full control of your life by what you choose to put at the end of your fork. So let's get into it. In 2025, a 30-year-old Black woman who's 9 weeks pregnant walked into her local hospital complaining of a severe headache. They sent her home with over-the-counter painkillers, and she died. Now, at least her brain died. The problem was that she was 9 weeks pregnant. She walked into that hospital and was declared brain dead in February. She was kept on life support for almost 7 months until her child was born. The child was born with severe birth issues because he was so premature. And then her body was allowed to die. Her family was the one who had to pay for their relative being on life support for months. Now, if you can even grasp the severity of that, and the absolute horrific nature of the idea of keeping someone's body alive, but not really alive, in order to host an unborn child. It's so backwards. It's so backwards. Because we know that in the times of when there wasn't this amount of medical technology, that if a mother unfortunately died from a brain aneurysm, which they suspect it might have been, or for any other reasons, then they just died and they were buried. And unfortunately, the child would be buried too, the unborn child. But in this case, it's almost like the pendulum has swung so far to the other side that we're now keeping women's bodies alive in order to grow the fetus and then allow a child to be born, even though the mother is dead. There's something that's just not right about that, especially because she was so early in her pregnancy. But let's go back even beyond that to the reason why she was in that situation in the first place. Adriana Smith was only 30 years old. She was pregnant and dead at the same time. If you can even wrap your mind around that, then we have to look at what is the reason why she was dead. And it is because she was overlooked. She went to the emergency room. She did the right things and she was dismissed. Her pain was dismissed. We've seen so many examples of Black women who are pregnant, whose pain has been ignored, where they are giving birth in their car, where they are made to answer mundane triage questions while they are in active labor. We've seen that. And we've also seen, thank goodness, that some of these people in those hospitals have been fired, especially that nurse who, it was just so disturbing to watch that. who just ask mundane questions of a woman in active labor. When we have this level of disregard for Black women and Black women's health and Black women's pain, we have to look at it, because this trend has been going on since the time of slavery, and it has not improved at all. Now, when you look at the fact that Black people on a whole were not even considered real humans, they were considered subhuman. So therefore, they didn't feel the same kind of pain. They didn't really understand what was going on, and therefore they didn't need to have a lot of the pain management that's required. And a lot of their pain was dismissed as being something that's not as important, or that they could stand a lot more pain. They had a lot more pain tolerance, so therefore their pain was ignored. This is leading to so many unnecessary deaths. And now in the 21st century, with these statistics still being so bad, we have to really advocate for ourselves. And not just for ourselves, but to have somebody there on our behalf to advocate for us, because this is unacceptable. Regardless of what your beliefs are, it's unacceptable to keep a woman alive when she's brain dead, but have her pregnant from the very early stage of pregnancy until 7 months later. There's something just diabolically wrong about that.
And just as a reminder, this is not medical advice, this is just educational. So Adriana is from Atlanta, Georgia, and this story is from 2025. She's a nurse. She was 9 weeks pregnant with her first baby. This was her first baby, and it was an early part of her pregnancy. Normally when these complications happen, they're often late. So she was only 9 weeks in. So what happened? There was a tragic collapse. She reported severe headaches. Her boyfriend or husband took her to the emergency room in Atlanta. She was sent home. Apparently they did give her some kind of medication, but she did not get imaging. She collapsed the very next day. She was brought back to the hospital and they found blood clots, and then she was understood to have some kind of stroke syndrome, and she was declared brain dead, which means there's irreversible cessation of her brain functioning, even though her body is still working in some domains.
Black women are at a higher risk of medical complications during pregnancy. And a lot of times it is from things that could be preventable, because you're more at risk because your body is now working to build a whole new human being, and it's protecting you from bleeding out. So you have a higher clotting factor, which then, if you are in that group of women who are susceptible to clots, to blood clots, that could lead to a stroke and an embolism, or anything where a blood clot can break free and go to the heart, the lungs, or the brain, causing death. There are things that we need to do, and that is we need to become more active. We need to become more in tune with how our bodies are and what we need to do to protect ourselves from early death, especially during the most vulnerable time in a woman's life, which is when she's pregnant. This case of Adriana Smith has been so disturbing. It's been a wake-up call, or at least it's been an alarm to let people see that dismissing Black women's pain can lead to many more deaths. But there's some things that we can do to protect ourselves, or at least to try to safeguard ourselves. And that is, we need to be more active, whether you're pregnant or not. You need to drink more water, because not drinking enough water can lead to blood clots if you're in a vulnerable state, such as a state of pregnancy. We need to also eat the right kind of food to nourish ourselves and to nourish our bodies, to watch our salt intake, at least the wrong kind of salt intake. And we also need to make sure that we're managing stress and getting enough sleep. These are some of the things that we can do, whether we're pregnant or not, male or female. And for Black Americans, we need to do that more, because we're still leading in the #1 place when it comes to preventable chronic illnesses. And we're having worse outcomes because of these chronic illnesses. We have to do better. The sad case of Adriana Smith is a wake-up call, or it should be, to the medical establishment. They need to pay attention to Black women and to Black people in general, our pain, our discomfort, and to just be listened to when we are making a complaint about a medical issue that concerns our bodies, not the doctors, not the hospitals. What do you think about this case? Do you think it was right for the hospital to keep Adriana Smith's body functioning so that she could give birth? And unfortunately, she gave birth to a child who had severe developmental and other complications because of the nature of his birth and being born so premature. Comment it below. What do you think? And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. And remember that I too have a YouTube channel that's Havsom, that's spelled H-A-V for Victor, S-O-M for Mother, where we'll continue the conversation there. To your good health. Bye-bye.